Hello everyone, welcome to the Degs on Global Television. My name is Adikan Michael. We're taking a look at some foreign issues and of course the national concern, where we take on the Senegal elections, where Faye has won 54% in the presidential election. I recall that Faye was in prison. Of course, coming out of the prison, he had to emerge as the president of Senegal. Has given so many concern in Africa, and of course we'll be taking a look at that issues right on this program. Also be taking a look at the fact that the slain soldiers, of course, were put to rest yesterday, where the president led raids at burial, and the families are demanding justice for their very own, and this has actually caused concern. How would their families, how would the government be able to secure justice for the deceased family? These are the issues we'll be taking a look at today. And of course, the president has set up an economic team where Dangote, Lumelu, and others have actually made it through the list. This is in a bid to strengthen Nigeria's economy and to tackle the economic crisis that we are having. Yesterday, the Labour Party conducted an election on their convention, where INEC has come out to deny monitoring the process, and this has also generated some major concern. Recall that the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, was not on the ground, and the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, was also on ground. It has also generated concern among the people on what is wrong with the Labour parties, and INEC coming out to deny monitoring the process. It also puts Labour Party to some level of confusion as it stands now. We'll be also taking a look at the exchange rate, where Naira, where Shetima had said, Vice President had said that Naira will continue to stabilize. Recall that recently CBN actually released $10,000 to register Bureau de Change, and this has also confirmed what the Vice President has said, that Naira will continue to be stabilized. And we do hope that we'll have good days for Naira, because as it stands now, it's still at about 1,322 Naira to a dollar in the market. And this has also been a concern about Nigerians, which has also caused ripple effects on local and imported products. In the spirit of Ramadan, the governor of Yobe State has actually given pardon to 33 inmates. What does it mean to the people of Yobe State, and what does it mean, of course, in the religious aspect for Ramadan, for the governor to pardon 33 inmates? These are all the issues that Aliyu, who is a public affairs analyst, will be joining me for the conversations today on the program. Good to have you join us on the show.
It's my pleasure, Michael.
Yes, let's begin from Senegal. You know, a 44-year-old Faye is now, swinging the flags of Senegal, and this has actually been an indication of a new times in Africa. How did a 44-year-old Faye get to the top? This is a lesson for Africa. What do you feel, and what do you make out of this?
Well, this is a new development within the political scape in West Africa. And this is a time for youths, to take over mantles of leadership and get involved in the process of getting into political offices. What just happened in Senegal, it's more of like a political revolution that has just hit the West African region, and this is very, very impressive. Looking at Faye today is known to be a visionary. These are people, Faye and Ousmane Sonko, who was previously the presidential candidates of the PASTEF, which is the party that they represent. These are people that met together in 2014, who are tax inspectors, and departments of lands and housings, or under the Senegalese, governments coming together to form a political party to see how they can project the future and turn things around the political scape in Senegal. Senegal has been at its lowest, based on some allegations placed on the president, who is known to be Macky Sall, also trying to still control, the reins within the Senegalese political scape by also having an anointed candidate who is known to be Amadou Ba, who the president wants to take over the mantle of leadership.
Right now, what happened in Nigeria, where the governor always wants to prepare someone to take over. We understand that scheme.
Exactly. This whole thing like happens within the West African region, and it's really, threatening the democratic, process. And looking at these two young men together coming into power, and like this elections in Senegal in Senegal was really, really backed up by the youths, because the youths constitutes more of the population of Senegal, and there's a whole lot of economic crisis and poverty and poor infrastructure. So the people are tired and they need a change this time around. And the presidents sees these young men as threats, and they've tried to look for ways. Like earlier this year, they postponed the elections and arrested the presidential candidates, and they took the whole situation to the courts, and luckily for them, the court has saved the democratic system in Senegal today, and this is a win-win for the people of Senegal.
Yeah, this has actually made some indication, because as you said, the court, the judiciary have been quite very independent in that process, because I begin to wonder what would have happened if the judiciary was one way or the other, doing the bits of the president, which would have actually, truncated, the process of fire emerging. What do you feel that Nigeria and other West African will begin to learn lessons in what is happening in Senegal? Because this really shows that the institutions of government in Senegal are actually independent now. Because look at the commission conducting the election, look at the court, the verdicts from the court, look at all of these has actually played out to be, some sense of institution, standing by themselves without the influence of whosoever is in power, even as the incumbent president.
Looking at the West African countries today, in the past 3 years, West Africa has lost 3, countries to military, interventions, and this is all as a result of judicial imbalance, and impositions of candidates. I know, but the issue of Senegal today has also protected the country from the military interventions due to the due diligence taken by the courts. And right now, it's a new, it's a new start for Senegal. The new start, because looking at these young people, they are visionaries, also bringing out new policies in terms of ditching the French CFA, and by introducing their own indigenous currency, because looking at the post-colonial agreements made by Senegal and France, it's that they have to make use of the French CFA, and they have to deposit a particular percentage of their reserves into the French bank, and which isn't really good enough. It shows that they are not economically independent. And the present president has some allegations on misappropriation of funds and corruption cases, and Bassirou Faye, the elected president right now, has said that it's coming in to address these issues in order to make Senegal become economically independent. And this is a time for him to prove to the people that yes, he is right for the job, and he's going to take steps in order to address these issues.
Right. Do you begin to feel that governance in Africa has anything to do with age? Because some people are actually arguing, if, for instance, the United States, Joe Biden is below the age, where we make some comparison over here in Africa. And now that the 40-year-old Senegalese has actually emerged as a president, do you now feel that the expectation will be high on him to deliver? Because this will also have a ripple effect, in undermining other young people from having a chance to lead. Do you feel that, issues of age, has to play in leadership?
There's one thing, the age factor doesn't matter at all. It depends on your level of exposure and, your mental capacity and creativity to solve problems. We've had lots of older people coming into government without deliverance, and there's a whole lot of like expectations, from the new president of Senegal right now.
All right, so we'll begin to take a look at yesterday the president paid respect to the past heroes of who died at the cause of duty, the slain soldiers in Okwama at Delta State. It has been a very sad one for the families, and currently the families are crying out, are seeking for justice and demanding justice, that the government should begin, to get justice for their own. What do you make out of the issues that we're really having? These are the people that were going for, peacekeeping, on their way to peacekeeping, they had their body, being attacked, and this has actually caused a lot of issues. That they have some of the quarters of the army where they are going out to revenge, but the federal government has pleaded with them, the House of Representatives have pleaded with them. Revenge is not the way forward, but the families are actually demanding for justice. Do you feel that the people who carried out these acts actually living in that community?
Well, this is a very, sad time for families of the slain soldiers. But first of all, we need to know that the approach that the Nigerian military takes to combat insecurity, it's very, very archaic. We're in a third world today. You don't need to be physical. You need innovations in order
gathering and all of that.
And technology advancements in order to be able to track militants, corporates. So at this point in time, even though you don't have like the capacity to do so, you have like we have defense allies. There needs to be like some form of like advanced military training and technological transfer in order to equip the Nigerian militaries with this, because gone are the days when you use the normal stop and search tactics in order to find culprits. Right now the world is really fast changing, and you need lots of like technological deployments in order to like track culprits. So at this point in time, we saw we had the chief of naval staff some days back like came out to say that Nigeria needs prayers in order to like combat security issues. At this point in time, the problems that we're having, it's not spiritual, it's meant to be technical, because Nigeria as a country is one of the countries that's that are very very prayerful, but the prayers that we make don't really
it doesn't serve us.
So we need to have a technical approach, and the president needs to like place some ultimatums on this service chips and others to deliver. Once you enter, there are many other people in the military with the right portfolios and experience, willing to have the zeal to like reform armed forces today. So once you end performing, you just have to leave and like bring in new people with the right portfolios in order to frontline the security agencies at this point.
Earlier today, the defense headquarters have declared 8 persons wanted, for the killings, and they released a photograph of these wanted persons having one thing or the other to do with the killing. And many concern has been, what would be the techniques, to pick these ones? Are these released photographs of the people who are really those that carried out the act? We find about a 50, 40, 60-year-old woman on the list. Are these the people that we could be able to, attack these soldiers? Concern has been, in managing this, in gathering information about who are those fishing out the culprits. Do we really have the confidence that the security agencies will be able to tackle this so that they will not get innocent persons arrested, in the issue? Because this is a very critical issue.
There's some challenges facing the Nigerian armed forces in terms of like intelligence gathering. There is no clarity in there. That's why I said earlier that we need some technological advancements, not just the stop and search thing whereby you feel everyone is a suspect. So look at the people of the Kwama community now. Everyone living there is a suspect. you know, you can't just do that, you know, go randomly do the stop and search thing and feel, oh, this is because
it might even happen that people who did that were are not even living in the community.
Exactly, you know, an attack was carried out, like, you know, there were phone calls, like there were meetings made. So what's now the use of the tracking devices? What's now the use of the NIA, the DSS? We have so many security outfits. The military also has an intelligence unit. So what's now their functions? What's their work? They need to be held, you know, responsible for these, you know. So at this point in time, you know, we've seen different cases whereby there are some Boko Haram suspects still in military custody. There are some suspects that will soon be freed by the military that have found to be not guilty, you know. You know, this whole random thing. Looking at the people like declared wanted by the defense quarters. Looking at the kind of people there. Most times we know that the militancy it's being like done by the youths. Like what's a professor doing down there? So like it seems that there is no clarity in this intelligence gathering. So I feel the military needs to like take, you know, a technological approach to the intelligence gatherings, you know.
Right. The president has actually given out scholarships and houses to the families of these 17 soldiers killed in Delta State. And it has been a move and being applauded by many Nigerians in trying to see how they can actually, you know, put the families into consideration. Do you feel that there is a mode to what the president would have done in a critical situation like this?
Actually, it's a good move made by the president. But over the years, we've had soldiers who have lost their lives, you know, service to the nation, and nothing has been really done to the families. I feel at this point in time, these soldiers need to be motivated, and by they being motivated, the government needs to come and like, you know, review their welfare packages and emoluments. You know, at this point, to be able to like encourage more people to like join the military and enable, you know, them to like, you know, fight with all their whole hearts in terms of like protecting the shores of this country, because, you know, there are so many soldiers who have gone and their families have not been like compensated. You know, there's a whole lot of like issues like that. So at this point in time, you know, there needs to be like a review of the welfare package of of military officers, you know.
Not just the military officers, all the security
all the security agencies, because you can see like the past few days we had the arrests of the Binance CEO.
Yes.
And we later heard that
on account of escape.
Yeah, he escaped from custody, you know.
So you feel there was a compromise somewhere?
There must be a compromise, because like someone who has some accusations of billions like of naira, and someone who is just earning 50,000 naira or less.
So they might actually gotten some dollars.
Yeah, exactly, because he feels like, oh, like once I get this,
I can get my 2 years salary at once.
Exactly, you know, there needs to be like a review of the packages, and
so they can be patriotic.
Yes.
All right, away from the issues of insecurity, and of course we do pray that the souls of these 17 soldiers rest in perfect peace. Let's move away from that to the issues of economy. The president have actually established 31 Economic Coordination Council and the Management Task Force to tackle the issues of the economy. And on the list we have Dangote, we have Lumelu, and others who have actually made the list, and even some ministers have actually made the list as well. The president is the chairman, vice president is the vice chairman of the committee. Do you feel that this is a big move? President trying to bring technocrats, trying to bring politicians, you know, on board to see how they can actually tackle the issues of our economy. This was what the people were waiting for. Now the president has done that. Do you feel that there will be any result out of it?
Well, you know, presently the economic situation of Nigeria, it's really in deep crisis at this point in time. At this point in time, what we need are technocrats and people in, you know, the business fields, in order to be like inclusive in terms of like formulating policies and like providing professional advice to the president on economic policies to be, you know, implemented in order to like, you know, address the economic situations, like economic hardships being faced by Nigerians today. I feel it's a very good move, because these are people who are practical, who have the practical knowledge in order to address issues, not people who don't have like that business, you know, that business experience, you know, to formulate economic policies in order to drive national development and growth.
All right. Issues has been the fact that we've had several policies in this country, but implementation has always been the problem. What has been the good working relationship between government and some private sectors? Because, you know, if these two bodies are able to synchronize their effort, don't you feel that they might be able to find some tangible result in a move by the president to engage some of the private sector right now?
The issues right now is that, like, there are lots of people like drifting out of the Nigerian markets, you know, at this point in time.
So the environment is not conducive for business?
Yes. So at this point in time, we need multinationals to come in and inject funds into the Nigerian economy. And this is a means of also creating, you know, employment, fighting unemployment, you know, in the country today, because the government offices that we have and the industries that we have today, it's not enough to, like, you know, accommodate Nigerians and also provide, products to the citizens. We need to, like, invite more multinationals. I'm not just talking, because right now in Nigeria, the key investors we used to have, like, are the Europeans, and the Europeans are all gone right now. What we have are Indians and Lebanese, you know, Asians in general, and these are people that come into the Nigerian economy without funds. Based on the kind of, like, networks that they have with some high-profile Nigerians, they help them, like, secure loans from the Nigerian banks and establish companies, you know. And this money doesn't stay back in the Nigerian economy. They take these funds back to their own country, you know, and develop their own country. This is to the detriment of Nigeria. So we need to have some economic policies that will, like, will favor, you know, Nigerians, and these companies having a reasonable amount of percentage of Nigerians working in these companies in order to, like, boost, you know, employment.
All right, quite a very good move by the president to strengthen Nigeria's economy. We do really hope that we'll get more result out of this committee, because the situation is quite very worrisome. I wanted to talk about, I wanted you to make a comment about, you know, I mean, the environment, working economic environment, supporting SMEs. You know, local businesses are really, you know, are in trouble because of, you know, the current economic reality. How do you feel that there's a more to what government can do, you know, to be able to strengthen, you know, the SMEs and I mean, people that are really into, you know, local production, you know, to be able to have the strength, so that that can be a driving force to our economy. Don't you feel so?
The government is to come out and, like, sit down and create effective programs in order to, you know, disburse funds to SMEs in order to enable them expand.
We have find government doing this, but we haven't. It seems that something is wrong in the process of disbursement.
Yes, we have the programs, like in the previous administrations. We had the Empower and the Trader Money and the rest of them, but they didn't really result due to the fact that these programs were not strengthened. There wasn't, you know, a particular body in charge of overseeing these functions. It was mostly done by the office of the special advisor to the president on SIP, the social intervention programs. I feel there needs to be a body and a framework that can regulate this process to make sure that those amounts of funds gets to the right people, you know, that are in need of these funds in order to grow their businesses. And there needs to also be some entrepreneurial trainings for them to be able to discharge their business activities effectively.
Right. We do get to believe that there will be a way out of the current economic situation. Yesterday, Labour Party conducted, a convention in Anambra State. This was a long overdue convention, and that convention, they did it on a re-election. Of course, for the party officials. So INEC has come out today to deny monitoring Labour Party's convention. Do you feel that there is an attack, you know, on Labour Party? I understand you may hold a different view on Labour Party, but taking a look at what is really happening in the Labour Party, you know, this was the party unknown to many Nigerians, proud to, you know, the emergence of Peter Obi as a presidential candidate. Right now, seems all is not well in Labour Party. They even made an attempt to conduct a convention yesterday, and INEC are coming out to say we did not monitor. Do you feel that they did not write to INEC, or do you feel that there is an attack on Labour Party?
Well, you all know, we all know that like the Labour Party today is an abstract of the Nigerian Labour Congress, and this was established, you know, to be a platform for pensioners, like civil servants and farmers, you know, to have a platform to like express, you know, their views. I know, but you know, the Labour Party today has lost the principles of its founding, you know, members today. There are a whole lot of like irregularities and some factions and crises, you know, looming within the Labour Party. So many factions, you know, they've lost that sense of directions that, you know, has been, you know, placed by its founding fathers due to like greeds and all the circumstances, you know, today. Looking at the Congress, the convention held by, you know, the Labour Party, there's a whole lot of like irregularities, you know. Before then, the Labour Party caucus of the House of Representatives came together to say that there should be a postponement of, you know, the Congress, and which wasn't, you know, accepted by the Julius Abure faction. You know, and looking at the convention, you get to know that this thing was just one-sided because, you know, the main presidential candidates, Peter Obi, wasn't present. Even, you know, his vice.
Do you feel he's trying to distance himself from the drama?
You know, I feel he's trying to be diplomatic in this, you know, aspects, because, you know, there are different factions, and he is still eyeing the 27.
But he's always a friend of Abure.
Yes, yes, you know, there are other factions, but he's trying to be diplomatic in order to be on neutral grounds, you know, so that it wouldn't look as if he's being one-sided. I know, in order to, you know, he still hopes that, you know, the party crisis will be settled. But I see this like as more of like being irresponsible as the leader of the party. You know, you need to come together in order to bring heads together and in order to find solutions to this crisis, you know. Also look on the only governor, the Labour Party governor that we have in the country today, Alex Otti of Abia State, wasn't even, you know, present in the convention. So this shows that there's been a whole lot of irregularities, and the INEC too wasn't present, and this whole thing has to do with, you know, some, you know, personal interest.
As critical as this may look, some persons have, you know, pointed fingers to the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, that if you cannot handle the issues in your family, you cannot handle your in-house issues, how then will you be able to handle the complex issues in the country? Do you feel that that Peter Obi is actually finding it very, you know, not easy to manage a crisis of Labour Party due to some non-state actors in the game?
In my own opinion, I just see that, like, you know, he doesn't have that courage to come out to, you know, resolve these issues based on his own personal interests for 2027. You know.
Do you feel he's contesting again?
Yes, definitely.
But he has not said so.
You can see the handwriting on the wall. You know, he lost the presidential elections based on some, you know, statistical projections. He felt that he is going to win that election. But not knowing that the data that they found in order to make such projections were not, you know, feasible at all, because they used like the populations of, you know, the different ethnic and also religious backgrounds. You know, they found out that it wasn't really, because they don't know that during census exercise in this country, like our census exercise are never ever, you know, feasible. There are places, especially in the northern parts of the countries, whereby are not, you know, accessible in order to count, and there's some people who are against counting themselves. So they made use of absolute data in order to make such kind of projections, and he felt he could do it alone because the whole Labour Party thing was just one-sided. Now we could see his moves, like it's the Ramadan period, going to states like Kano, you know, Kebbi, breaking fasts with, you know, Muslims. You know, this is like, it's too late to do these things. This was something he was meant to like do because he felt he can't do it alone. You know, he can't do it alone even with the youths. And, you know, it's just mostly the eastern part of the country and also some few parts in the southern regions of youths that were backing him up, you know.
All right. And then few now feel that there's a better hope for the Labour Party now that all of these issues have actually put them, you know, at the burning scene. Now issues and political heating, and I mean the families are actually being destabilized. Do you now feel that there may be a strong Labour Party in 2027? Do you feel that the possibility of that?
You know, 2027 is still far to project. Because looking at the situation on ground, there might be a disaster in the Labour Party if care isn't taken, and if this
situation. But even PDP is also in a disaster.
PDP isn't in a disaster.
PDP is in a crisis.
What are the crises?
PDP are in a crisis. Up to now, we do not know the authentic chairman of PDP.
The chairman that we have there is acting in an acting capacity. And we haven't yet called for a convention yet. And a convention will be upcoming soon. And at the appropriate time, the whole situation will be resolved. You know.
Former governor of Rivers State seems to be in PDP and also seems to also be in APC. Up to now, the PDP have not said anything about it. Has not even given a sanction or impeachment or whatever the party normally do to others. Do you not feel that these are the parties that also are courageous enough?
Right now, the parties like have no business to do with the former governor of Rivers State.
He's still a card-carrying member of PDP.
He says to be a card carrier of the.
He is. He's not saying he's a card-carrying member of the PDP.
He says, but when you look at his moves, we know that he's on the other camp. You know, the whole thing here is that.
Are PDP finding it very uneasy with what Wike is doing in PDP?
The PDP people are not concerned because what he's doing right now is more of like a political suicide, because you can't just be one leg in and one leg out. You know, they are not even concerned anymore because they have other priorities and other things. The PDP can survive without him because he claims to be relevant, but I tell you, I see no relevance in him.
How about PDP losing Rivers State in the last election? Don't you feel that they might actually lose that even from being the state governor, you know, in 2027?
PDP can't lose Rivers State. PDP is still strongholds in the Rivers States. Let me let you know. You know, right now there are even allies of the former governors who are still coming to the camp of the present governor of Rivers State. See, the present governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubara, is just a perfect gentleman. You know, he believes more in like.
Wike brought him.
Yeah, we know he brought him, but due to some personal, interest and all, you know, you can't just bring someone into power and feel you can still control that person. You need to see. You've done your own part. You've done your 8 years. You need to leave. You can't still be controlling another person. It doesn't happen. See, when you look at the political antecedents of the South-South region, they frown against godfatherism. Godfatherism has never thrived in the South-South.
You speculated that Peter Obi might come back for 2027. Do you feel if you leave Labour Party and comes to PDP, PDP will give him tickets?
PDP.
You know, the former vice presidential candidate of the party.
Well, looking at the situations now in the PDP, the former presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has said that he is going to contest in 2027.
Well, he was the one behind the issues that you have in 2023.
He wasn't. How is it the issue?
There have been allegations the fact that he would have actually allowed another candidate to emerge, or even upon his emergence, he would have actually allowed Ayu to resign as the chairman of the party. These have generated these issues. I mean, you know, how Wike have left the party can be traced to that.
Okay, the constitution.
Because of Atiku.
Yeah, the constitution of the PDP states that a president cannot come from the same region with the national chairman. The day that the presidential candidates emerge as a president-elect, on that spot, the national chairman coming from the same region with the president-elect has to step down for another candidate of another region to come in.
It's not on the basis of doing the elections.
No, it's on the basis of that. No, looking at the Wike factor, it's more of like a personal interest thing. He was so bitter because he felt like he was so confident to like clinch the presidential candidate. You know, before the convention, he said that he's going to support anybody who is going to emerge because he felt he had the resources, had the financial resources in order to like clinch that ticket. But it went out of his favor. And at that point in time, there was the former governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambo, had stepped down on the spot for Atiku Abubakar. And Atiku Abubakar emerging as the president, Wike felt like he's entitled to be the vice presidential candidate. And that was where the problem started. You know, because you've like, you know, invested in the party, you spent a whole, you know, you've placed lots of resources, your hard-earned resources in the party and all to keep the party structure intact and all. Doesn't mean you're entitled to be a vice president. You know, you don't have a say. As the people have a choice to make. The presidential candidate needs to work with someone who is free with, you know. Imagine Wike being a vice president to Atiku, like there will be always, you know, daily dramas in the villa, you know.
Yeah, it was a concern that what Tambuwa did and some other Northerners and having you as the chairman was about PDP turning to a Northern political party. That it was an agenda of the North.
No, Wike brought in Ayu.
Yes.
Yes, because this man has been so problematic. Look at the times he brought in Uche Secondos, who was like a kinsman, frustrated him out of the party, and now brought in Ayu. The reasons of bringing in Ayu is for his own selfish interest because he felt he's going to emerge as the president. And since that didn't work in his favor, he felt like he could, you know, get the presidential ticket. But see, let me tell you, looking at the office of the vice president, it's a very different, that office, there's a way that office is pictured to be, you know, you need a perfect gentleman there. Look at the past vice presidents we've had, like, you know, from Namadi Sambo, Goodluck Jonathan, Yemi Osinbajo. You don't need someone that would, you know, go internationally and be ranting like a tout. You know, it's an office of a perfect gentleman. You know,
So this is the president.
yes. Look at someone like Ifeanyi Okowa, for example. You know, you need someone who will be loyal.
Then we are not campaigning for Okowa. back to the issues in the Labour Party. Do you not feel that NLC and the Labour Party itself will find it very hard, you know, to resolve due to some personal? Do you feel that there are interests on the ground that maybe Ajero, the chairman of NLC, is not in support of Peter Obi? Do you feel that this is an attack and a move against Peter Obi agenda?
Well, actually, we can say for now. We just need these people to like put their house in order.
You might not be able to have anything to say. All right, let's move away from the Labour Party convention. We do hope that INEC will be able to have a good conduct of the convention monitored by them, you know, for Labour Party, because it's a party for young Nigerians, and so many young Nigerians are actually worried. Moving away from the convention of Labour Party, we'll take a look at the exchange rates, where the Vice President Shettima has said that Naira will continue to stabilize. It is now a new move from about 1,900 Naira now at almost 1,200 or 1,300 or thereabout. Vice President are now boasting that this has actually been their fight to crack dollars down in the country. Naira will continue to stabilize. Do you feel that the CBN is actually on the move to get Naira stabilized, really?
You know, while this present administration came into power, there was, you know, some, you know, forex crisis. That's the inflation of the exchange rates, which was unable for them to handle. But, you know, based on the fact of people hoarding this, you know, foreign currencies, you know, the CBN came to the list 4,000, withdraw the license of 4,000 Bureau de Change operators in the country. No. It's part of the process of like resolving these issues. And, you know, there's been like a forex backlog, you know, which the CBN just cleared. They cleared all the forex backlogs, and since then the exchange rate has been, you know, dropping. And we feel at this point in time the government needs to like keep up in their, moves in order to like resolve these issues. If they don't handle it properly, it could, become a disaster later on.
All right, we do hope that Naira will continue to gain some strength and get stabilized. Just, as the Vice President have actually rightly said. Let's move over to Yobe State. Governor Buni has actually pardoned 33 inmates in the spirit of Ramadan. And this has actually been a concern, as a part of the activities. Find a very fantastic move commended by the people on the advice of some of the State Advisory Council on the prerogative of mercy led by the State Attorney General and the Commission of Justice. And this has actually followed due process. Do you feel that this consideration is a well thought, having understanding the fact that giving pardon is also the powers of the governor to do?
Actually, looking at the correctional system in Nigeria today, you tend to find out that, Nigeria has one of the worst, correctional system in the sense of, congestions of inmates in our, correctional facilities today. There are lots of people that you find in correctional facilities who never committed a crime due to, I said earlier concerning this whole stop and search tactics of the Nigeria, whereby they feel everybody, it's a, that everyone they see is a suspect, and they take them into custody and put them behind bars. And due to the poor judicial systems that we have, and most of these people don't have access to legal services in order to, enable them, lawyers fight for them, in the courts. So you see people that have spent over 15 to 20 years in correctional facilities without being cleared by the court, without being tried. So at this point in time, the Minister of Interior needs to look into these details, to look at ways to see how we can decongest our correctional facilities. But there's nothing correctional about these facilities because they are not rehabilitation programs for these people in order to
because it's not a condemnation ground.
Yes.
The center is not a condemnation ground.
Exactly. So they just need to look for ways in order to decongest the prisons and look out for people who don't have cases and free them out from the prisons, because it's really, really crazy when looking at the situations and the facilities in India. It's nothing really to write home about. It's just so very scary.
All right, that, of course, we do really appreciate the Governor Buni for the move to pardon 33 inmates in the spirit of Ramadan. Of course, we're joining our voices to wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters a happy fasting and Ramadan celebration. That's the size on the decks today. Of course, we do wish that we'll get another stories coming from foreign, internationals, and nationals tomorrow, same time on Global Television. My name remains Deacon Michael. Many thanks, Aliyu, for joining us.
It's my pleasure,
today.
Michael.
We do hope to see you again tomorrow. Many thanks for watching. See you again.